Pretty much, I'm just making a special tote bag. I also just feel like the binding looks so good. I'm also going to cheat and I'm not going to do an adjustable strap for the shoulder strap. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am making a movie tote bag. So I am an avid moviegoer. I have Regal Unlimited and I try to see at least one movie a week. And I use just one of the purses I have, and I don't always love it, so I decided to make myself a tote bag that would have a lot of pockets so I could fit stuff when I go to the movies. So that's today's video. If you like it, don't forget to like and subscribe, follow me on my social medias, and let's get into it. Hi guys, in today's video I am making a movie bag. So pretty much I'm just making a special tote bag. So I have Regal Unlimited and I go to the movies a lot, and sometimes when I go I will treat myself to popcorn or something, and sometimes I just feel like with the bag I bring, it's I just struggle to like carry everything, especially if I get stuff there. And so I wanted to make a bag that would be like specially for taking to the movies. Especially because I bought a blanket from Regal a while ago and I haven't brought it yet, but because I'm like, how am I going to carry this in? So yeah, that's this week's project. So I have a rough sketch. I don't know, okay, maybe you can see it. I don't know how structured I'm going to make it, but I wanted it to be big enough that I could fit either a water bottle or a cup on the side. So if I did get something, if I wanted to put it in there, and I wanted it to have handles that could go over my shoulder, or if I wanted to just like hold it with my like hand or my elbow. But then also I wanted to have a long strap so I could have like maybe not crossbody, but like I could fit that over my shoulder as well. And I want that strap to be adjustable. And then I want the entire inside lining to be pockets so I could just put things in different containers. So if I ever like needed to grab like a chapstick or something from the movie, or like I wear earplugs because apparently movies are kind of loud, and because I see so many, I invested in like a nice pair of earplugs. Just like being able to put things in individual pockets like I know, and then I wanted the bottom to be open, be able to fit something like a blanket. So that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna start by drafting the pattern. I don't know what fabric I'm gonna use yet, because I was thinking of doing something so it could be a little more structured, kind of like a suede, which would be, I don't think it's real suede, but it would be easier to clean because, you know, movie theaters and stuff can be dirty. But then I'm just like, sewing fabric would be so much easier. So I don't really know. So, but I'm just gonna start by drafting the pattern and then go from there. I cut out the pattern pieces. I'm scared that the bag is going to be a little big. I feel like the width of the side is really large, but I think I'm just going to go with it because I'm like, the whole point was to be able to bring a blanket, because like when I go to the movie, sometimes I'll wear a jacket and I'll like cuddle under that. And I bought a blanket because one, I'm trying to support theaters, and sometimes buying other stuff. But it would be nice to like actually have a blanket and like not be under my jacket, all the stuff. So I'm like, I wanted this to fit the blanket. So I'm gonna stay with the size, and we're gonna see. Maybe it'll look comically large by the end. But this is the fabric that I'm going to use. It's the same one I used for the, I think the Caperni heart bag that I did for Somas. I feel like, and then for the lining, I'm just gonna use like a sturdy cotton. Um, but I feel like this will be sturdy enough that it will hold shape, but it's not going to be like if I put like a stabilizer or something in it. So I don't know, but I'm going to trace the patterns onto the backside in pencil, because I usually do in pen and sometimes, or marker, and sometimes it shows through. And after that, I'm going to cut them out, and then I will cut out the lining. Okay, I cut out the pieces, so I'm going to start with the lining, because I was thinking for the outside to do a binding, a vice tape binding, and like sew the seams on wrong sides together. I'm not for sure yet, but I did buy binding, so I might, but I'm going to start with the lining. So I'm going to start with the pockets, and I'm going to just serge the top and fold them down, and then baste them to the actual lining part. And for the big pocket, I'm probably going to do like 3 seams. I'm probably going to do like 3 seams, like one here, or 2 seams to make 3 pockets, and then I will, and I'll do that after it's connected. And then after that, I'll connect the lining. And I think it's, I referenced one of my books. I think it would be the front and the back to the bottom, and then the sides to the rest of it. So, yeah, I'm going to do that, and then I will start on the outside of the bag. I was thinking about I got a 1/4 inch and a 1/2 inch binding, and I like the look of the 1/4 inch, but I just felt like that'd be really hard to sew, so I went with a 1/2 inch, and I also felt like the 1/2 inch would be better for the actual seams. So now I have the side, I guess the front and the bottom pinned, or clipped. So I'm gonna sew that, and then I'm gonna sew the other front, or I guess back, and then I will sew the side to the bottom, and then sew the sides to the side of the bag. Also, I'm probably gonna do the binding for the bottom after I do this seam, and then once I have the entire the entire side attached, I will do the binding there. I think I need more than what I have. And then after I have kind of like the outside of it, I will do the straps, and then I'll connect the straps to that before I do the lining to the outside. Okay, I have the base of the bag together. I will say it's flopping in on itself more than I would like. I feel like though it's just a little too late to add a stabilizer, so it kind of is what it is. I'm hoping that once I add the handle and the strap, that and the zipper in the middle, that will give it a little more structure. I don't know. I have mixed opinions because like I thought about making it more structured, but like I also didn't want it to be so structured that it felt like it took up. I mean, it's a big bag, so it's going to take up a lot of space, but like this really takes up space because it has the structure. So I don't know. I don't know. But then I'm also I have lots of thoughts, I guess, or a few thoughts. Because I guess if I did bring a blanket, the blanket that I have that I've been using as a guide, I don't remember whether or not I showed it. It is rolled up because I haven't used it yet. Because how am I going to bring a blanket other than carrying it in? But if I were to roll it myself, it might take up a lot of space. And I'm like, I don't know. So we'll have to see what it looks like once it's done and once stuff is in it. But it is folding in on itself a little more than I'd like. But as you can tell, I've done the binding. I had 1/2 inch and a 1/4 inch. I did 1/2 inch because I felt like that'd be easier to sew, and also for the seams, it'd be easier. So yeah, I have the binding on the bottom. So I'm going to do the binding around the edge. I also did a little stitch for the bottom to connect it here, almost kind of like a little basting stitch, because I think that'll make it easier to sew that curve. I mean, overall, I think sewing the curve is going to be pretty hard, but I'm going to do that. And I also don't think I'm going to have to finish the end of the binding, so just like folding it over until I do sew the top portion. So I'm going to get ready and do that, and then I will cut out the fabric for the handle and probably the straps. And for the handle, I'm going to do, well, for both the handle and the strap, I'm going to do 2 pieces facing each other. And then for the handle, I'll leave a little bit of just one edge so I can sew it to the outside. For the strap, I kind of want it to be adjustable, but I don't know what I want to do because I feel like sewing 2 pieces of this together is going to be a little thick, that trying to put it through a strap, like the strap piece, might be a little much. I also don't have the other piece that you need for an adjustable strap in the size that I want. And I've done like a make your own adjustable strap one time for the heart purse, so I'll put that up. But yeah, so I don't really know yet what I'm gonna do. So first I'm gonna sew the binding to the outside, and then I will start the handle, and then I will pick up the strap. Okay, I was about to sew on the handle when I noticed that on other bags, they have a piece that, like, they use a bit of hardware where there's something sewn to the bag, and then you have the handle connect to the hardware, and so that way the it can flop down. And I was like, ooh, do I want to just sew this on? Because then it'll be stuck up, and that kind of makes the bag even bigger. But it was like, I don't have hardware that's the size of the handle, and I also just feel like the binding looks so good. Anyways, and so I had this thought. I cut these small pieces from scraps I had. I'm going to cover this in the binding, and then I'm going to sew this down to the bag, and I'm going to loop the end of the handle through so that way it can maneuver around. I'm also going to cheat, and I'm not going to do an adjustable strap for the shoulder strap. Number one, I don't want to. But number two, I can't really see myself using it much. Like, I feel like I want this, if I'm wearing that, to hit by my waist, and I don't think I'd really want to adjust it up more than that. And I also don't think I'd want it to be, like, much lower than my, like, or my hip, much lower than that either. So I'm kind of like, I also, because if I do the method of I have two pieces, I just hit myself. If I have two pieces, it's going to be kind of thick, and then when you have to fold it over, like, it does work, but I don't know. I also would have to use this method for that as well. I just don't want to. And I just don't know how useful being able to adjust it really would be for me, so I don't think I'm going to. So for the shoulder strap, I'm just going to cut out two pieces, one a little shorter than the other, do the binding, so pretty much similar to how I'm going to do the handle. So I'm going to do that, and then I will do the zipper and attach the lining and the top part. Okay, I did the strap. I have the bag. It's a little floppy, so I'm going to serge the top of the lining, sew that down, and then sew the binding. I love how the bag looks. I do wish it was a little more structured, so I'm a little like about that, but it is what it is. I'm not going to do a zipper, but what I'm going to do instead is have a flap that comes over and connects with a magnet. So I already glued the magnet into the bag, and I have the magnet glued for the flap. I'm not going to film that, I'm going to be honest. I'm just cutting out, I used the bottom piece, I made it a little bit smaller so it won't go through to both edges, but I made it like 3 inches smaller so I could have 1.5 inches on each end, and then I glued the magnet, so I will sew that together and sew the binding before I sew that, and I'll sew that after I do the lining. So yeah, because I felt like if I did the zipper that it would be harder to get in and out of the bag, which, like, yes, but since I want to be able to fit stuff that it's like, oh, it's easy to, like, I don't know, sometimes, like, I don't sneak stuff into the theater that much, and I do buy things from, like, concessions from the theater sometimes, but sometimes, like, when I bring, like, a water bottle or candy in the bag that I usually bring, since it's just, like, all open, if I also go and buy popcorn, I'm, like, fishing for my wallet through the stuff that I'm sneaking in, and so I'm like, I wanted the zipper originally so you don't see what's in the bag, especially if I have something that, you know, but I'm also like, I do want it to be easy to go through it, so that's why I landed on the flap. So, because I thought about, since this is like blanket, I want to bring blanket, then I was like, if I have a zipper, it might be really hard to get the blanket out. So anyways, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to sew the lining, and then after that I will do the flap, and I think that should be the end of the bag. And yeah. Okay, I just yapped for 5 years, like right before this, and I'm a liar. You can also see what I am listening to on my TV, which is the Princess Mononoke soundtrack. I saw it in IMAX a few weeks ago, and just a very beautiful movie. It's my third studio Ghibli. I don't know if that's how you say it, but my first being The Boy and the Heron, and yeah, it was very impressive. Soundtrack was obviously beautiful, and I've been listening to it some. And anyways, but I yapped, and I'm a liar. I'm not gonna do the flap. I decided that I'm going to do another magnet on the opposite side because I think that'll close the bag in a way that's kind of okay, not the structure I wanted, but I don't know if the flap would really give that structure. Also, these magnets are from Walmart. They are garbage, and I'm not surprised. I don't know why. I feel like it's really hard to find a good magnet at a grocery store, or not just a grocery store, like a commercial store. Because I don't know. I've tried magnetic tape before. I think from Lowe's didn't work. Joann's, RIP, soon had good magnets one time, so maybe I'll stop by and see if they still have them before they close down. So these barely work. Both sides are sometimes magnetic. That's not how a magnet's supposed to work, if you remember that from like elementary school. But anyways, I marked which side was down and I glued that on. So now, and I seam ripped because I sewed the lining together first. So I just seam ripped a little bit so I could do that. So now I'm just going to sew the binding to the top of the bag and it'll be done. Thanks for watching. I really hope you liked it. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow me on my social medias. So I do like how this bag looks, especially with the binding. I do wish it was a little more structured. So if I were to do it again, I would have either just used something to make it a little more stand up more. But I do think that I will get a lot of use out of it at the movies. So I'm excited for that. I also want to give a shout out to my boyfriend for helping me film this. So, and if you made it this far, comment down below if you are a movie concession person or if you like to bring stuff in. Until next time, bye guys.